Good morning, guys. How are you? Hope you all are doing well. On tonight's podcast, this morning's podcast, we're going to start off with some news and see what's going on with the NFL and all that. Right before we start with Ralph Sheheen. Ralph Sheheen. I think I'm just unblurring it. There you go. How do I? Mm-hmm. There we go. So yeah, as soon as we hit 8:55, we'll take a 5-minute break, and then he'll be joining in. I was talking unmuted. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about NFL news and see what's going on, and then just see what's going on there. So that's what's going on. At 8:55, we'll be taking a 5-minute break. When the 5-minute break's over, I'll invite Ralph Sheheen during that time. So yeah, so let's see what's going on. And some of you are NFL fans that don't listen to the news and like what's going on. So I'm going to start off with the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers and Adam Thielen was a wide receiver for the Vikings. They agreed on a 3-year contract. And then Andy Dalton's part of that. He's a quarterback. He was a quarterback for the Saints for a little bit. He agreed to a two-year deal. When Adam Thielen, whatever his name is, he told Pat McAfee straight up that they look like a Super Bowl team, and there's a championship might be involved, right? So that's good for them, but for real though, don't get over too confident. And then Aaron Rodgers and Jets, they haven't made it official yet with a contract. Depending on if they're going to do a 2-year, because he might not play too long, or they might do a year. Really depending on what he does. But main thing is, as soon as he joins in the Jets, will he be getting the wish list that he wants? He wanted some Green Bay Packers players. Let me look up real quick and see what their names were. I know that was one of them. Odell Beckham Jr. was. He wanted Odell Beckham Jr. It was his idea. He wanted So the players that he included were his former teammates Alan Lazard and Randall Cobb, Mercedes Lewis, and also former Giants Odell Beckham Jr. The Jets did agree to a deal with Lazard on Tuesday, so that's pretty good. He got one of the players that he wanted. Now, is Odell Beckham Jr. going to accept this? We don't know yet. But we wait until he's done training and he's doing something with his arm, with his old injury he had. Now, would he Alright, let's make sure my audio isn't muted. So yeah, that's what's going on. due to his injury he had, and now he's doing better, looking better, catching the ball, and all that. But I don't know. There might be another player that they might not get. They might, but at least he got one of them. So now let's go to the Steelers. I'm a Steelers fan. I want to talk about the Steelers signings. Signing Patrick Peterson, former cornerback for the Vikings. Cole Holcomb, former Washington Commander. Eldon Roberts, Tay Crowder, Isaac Sumalo, former Eagles. They got an Eagles player that went to the Super Bowl, but they didn't win it though. They went to the Super Bowl, which is pretty cool. Then we're going to the Browns signings. Defensive tackle Tristan Hill. Left block Jordan Kanazansky, whatever his name is. Former Steeler and former Titan Joshua Dobbs. He was also a Cleveland Browns player before, and then they traded him to the Titans. Now he's back to the Browns. Cornerback Mike Ford. Tight end Jordan Atkins. Left block Ogbo Ukoronko. Whoa. I don't know these names. And defensive tackle Maurice Hurst. They have Hurst. That's crazy. So yeah. And plus, they got the coin back, Mike Ford. He was on the Kansas City Chiefs. They got a 2-time Super Bowl champion. That's pretty good for them. Now, Patrick Peterson, he's not. No, he's not. He is not a Super Bowl champion. But he did say about the number 7, which is okay by me, but for real though. Don't respect number 7. Well, there was no disrespect there, but for real though. No. Tristan Hill was a pretty good signing by the Browns. Good for them. They're doing smart things. I think they need to start, like, I don't know. They need to focus on their money and all that. And then, who else? Cole Holcomb. That would be a great linebacker for the Steelers. That lineup, though. Hightower and him, and TJ. They're also wanting Bud Dupree back, which Bud Dupree, TJ Watt, and Hightower together, ooh, that would be a great lineup for them if they want to get people sacked and all that. Who else do they want? They put Terrell Emmons on free agency, which is fine. Hey, it's they're doing their business. It's all right. Or say it's Tremaine Edmonds. That would be awesome. They have the brothers together, like TJ and Derek. Didn't hear much about Derek Watt. He doesn't get to play much, but he got his first touchdown a while back. So yeah, that's what I'm proud about. Him getting his first touchdown a while back. I think it was last year or 2 years ago. No, last year, because Kenny Pickett was the one who handed it off to him. And my thoughts on Kenny Pickett last season was pretty good. I liked him a lot. Mitch Trubisky is not that bad of a player, but I'd rather have Kenny Pickett as my starter. Coming from University of Pittsburgh and then going to Pittsburgh Steelers, yeah, it's pretty good. Browns and Watson, they should just let him go. To be honest with me, that's my opinion. They should let him go. They should have Dobbs to start. since Brickett, whatever his name was, the quarterback number 7 on the Browns, he went to the Commanders, which that's good for them because he did pretty good um, going on to there. But yeah, let me see if I'm forgetting anything else. So yeah, that's what I'm honestly thinking is what else can Aaron Rodgers has some pretty good wide receivers, but how can you get players you know that you want that they might not sign, like Odell? There's a possibility. They said a reporter said that he wants to go back. He said that, oh, Odell Browns. No, he's not gonna go. I know that for sure. But if he does, then come on. You already have problems there. You're doing good, but still, no. Now, if I was Cleveland, keep Myles Garrett and Nick Chubb. They're their only two star players, and Kareem Hunt. You can't leave Kareem out there, man. Kareem Hunt's probably second, third, no third, because Nick Chubb has faster yardage. Um, yeah, that's what I think. But if you're Nick Chubb right now, I'll still be a little upset that the Browns wants to get rid of you, thinking about getting rid of you. But unless if he says he wants to go, then I hopefully he goes to a good team. He'll still be good. Let's say he goes to the Washington Commanders. He'll still be good. No matter what, he'll still be Nick Chubb. He'll be a beast. And Kareem Hunt's good. They'll have him still, but here's the thing. Nick Chubb, don't get rid of him. Myles Garrett, he's just a scary human being. He knows how to do his work. And so, if I was them, keep Myles Garrett. Keep Myles Garrett. He might take up a lot more. He might take a lot more gap room. Like, I know this is not bad, but still, how his contract is and how the Browns are, yeah, still. Um, yeah, that's what I would do if I was them. Yeah, that's all that's going on. That's all I got. Let me check on some more news real quick. Because I started a little earlier. I was going to start at 35, and I started at 8:30. Time's going slow. NFL news. Mock draft. Prisco's 2023 NFL mock draft 1.0 QB slide off board as 4 go in the top 5. Bears add defense after trading. Now, should the Pittsburgh Steelers draft an offensive tackle in the 23 NFL draft? I think so. They need one. They need one badly. Don't get me wrong, we always had good ones, but still, this one now we're not. We need a better offensive tackle. Now, I want to talk about the Buckeye. I want to talk about C.J. Stroud. I want to talk about Chris Olave. All those Ohio State players that went to the NFL. And I think we should start off with the great ones. A.G. Hawk. Getting drafted to the Green Bay Packers, winning championship there. I think he's a 2-time Super Bowl champion, or 1 time. No, he's 1 time. Yeah. And then getting traded to the Cincinnati Bengals. Wearing the same number, 50. His college number is 47, and he went to 50. And then after the Bengals, he was to the Atlanta. No, was that? No, he was traded to. He was at the Green Bay Packers, and then to the Atlanta Falcons, and then to the Cincinnati Bengals. He didn't play for Falcons. He was on the practice squad, and they didn't win. So they took him to the Cincinnati Bengals, which he did kind of good there, and then he retired. Now, some other players like Braxton Miller, J.T. Barrett, and Cardale Jones, they did not do very good in the NFL. Like, they didn't do much in the NFL. One of them's in the XFL, Cardale Jones. Braxton Miller he was a wide receiver for the Texans, and then he went to the Cleveland Browns. J.T. Barrett, I don't know. Now, to Carlos Hyde, he was a 49er. Yeah, he was a 49er. And then he went to the Houston Texans and a 49er. I don't know what else. Ezekiel Elliott going to the Cowboys. Wonder where the Cowboys are on pit. Wonder where he's gonna go now since the Cowboys don't want him anymore. Chris Olave, Saints. Michael Thomas, Saints. Who am I forgetting? Joey and Nick. Joey, Chargers. Nick, 49ers. A lot of big teams for Buckeyes. There are some linemen going to the Steelers, and then some cornerbacks like, strong safety like Denzel Ward going to the Cleveland Browns. Still a Cleveland Brown player. I don't know if there's one quarterback. Justin Fields. Bears. Who else? J.K. Dobbins to the Ravens. Few linebackers, a few linemen going to great teams. Some of them went to bad teams, but still. That's good for Buckeyes. Now, C.J. Stroud. Where's he going to go? I think he fits pretty good as a Cardinal or a I'm trying to think. Not Brown. Not Cleveland Brown. Not Cincinnati. Joe Burrow is kind of a Buckeye. He went to LSU, but still. He represents like a Cardinal, and then he is also Denver Bronco. He'd be pretty good for Denver Broncos. Like Sean Payton. He's gonna be a coach there. Still can't believe it. Like, he retired a few years ago, and now he's coach. Yeah, that's pretty much what I got. Let me see if anything else. Jermaine Pratt shares an interesting comment about the top running back in 2023 NFL draft. Okay. Ooh. They showed a picture of a Wolverine for a Cowboys mock draft. Ooh. The picture that they're showing of that Wolverine, that player, ooh, he looks pretty good. Yeah, he's a pretty scary dude. Let me see. Eye on a top running back after signing a 3-year deal with a free agency. Oh, Gibbs is crazy. Jamar Gibbs, offering the Bengals better value than current running back situation. Gibbs is going to be the running back. That's crazy. Texans trade for Ravens QB Lamar Jackson as here to Deshaun Watson. know what I thought about? Let's talk about Lamar Jackson. Feel bad for the dude. All teams, very odd. Like JJ Watt said, it's very odd that a lot of teams don't call him. He's a quarterback that runs like a running back. He's faster than most of the linebackers and quarterbacks. Like quarterbacks are scrambler quarterbacks, or like fast as like Kenny Pickett. Like Kenny Pickett, Tannehill, Cam Newton. Name a few scramblers, scramble QBs. Lamar Jackson's different. If I had to call him any like name for like any like team for like a quarterback position, it would be running back quarterback. Because he runs like a running back, he's so fast. But seeing that Texans wants him, that's pretty good for the Texans. Since they did horrible last season, and them picking Lamar Jackson up be pretty good. And it does say that Lamar Jackson is ready to move on from the Ravens, which I don't blame him. Ravens are just flat out trash. I'm joking. Remember, I'm a Steelers fan, okay? Now, you can tell right here. You can tell right here. Yeah, it's... Ben Roethlisberger reveals talks with 49ers about NFL return. Thoughts on Kenny Pickett? No. Stay retired. That's just that's not real. No. Is it though? Oh, sorry. Let me see. Ben Roethlisberger. 2022. This is 23. That was a long time ago. Oh, it was in discussions. Which, what website? Oh, Pro Football Talk. They do way better than TB, whatever it was called. They made it sound like he was going in this year. Like, why? Stay retired. You said you want to stay retired. You can't play, you can't play. Like, there's no other. Tom Brady retiring this year. I'm happy. Thought about coming back. Don't come back. We don't want you back. You gave us enough trouble. Okay? You gave us enough trouble. You didn't win last year's Super Bowl. Nacho year. That's my favorite Dorito brand. That's my favorite Dorito flavor. Nacho year. And yep, it's about almost that time. So I got his email right here. We can invite him. That's 49, that's 50. We will get... I'll get you guys on there. Hold on. Let's get you guys on the intermission screen. So you guys can see Texas Longhorns, okay? Now I'll still talk to you guys. Let me make sure that the screen is blocked off. Yes, it's blocked off. Don't want to show his email. Oh, I'll sign in on Google. Oh, nice. Hold on, guys. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to see. Holy shit. Here you go. And, I'll be right back, guys. I might take a quick break. I'm actually gonna get something to drink real quick. Be right back. Taking a quick 5-minute break here, folks. Just gonna wait until he shows up. I'm actually up the steps. Oh, brother. Here we go. Hello there. Oh, hold on. I can't hear you real quick. Oh, hold on. I can't hear you real quick. There we go. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Let me see. Audio settings. Microphone. What's going on here? Headphones. Testing, testing. Why is it not working? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Oh, gosh, man. Can you hear me? What the heck is going on? Why? Let me see. This. Mic and audio is fine. Screen so they can see him. Huh? What is going on here? No. Huh? Why is it not working? Huh? Why is it not working? Why can he not hear me? Achilles tested the mic. Why is it not working? I don't. Is it because joint audio? There we go. I can got you now.
Yep, I hear you.
Yeah, there we go. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you, Brandon?
I'm doing good. Just want to say you're my most favorite reporter of all time, man. Been a big fan ever since.
Hey, thank you very much. Where are you at?
I'm at my mom's house here in Loudonville, Ohio.
Ohio.
Yeah.
Where in Ohio?
It's called Loudonville. It's in a little county called Ashland. It's
Oh, sure.
it's like central. It's south of Cleveland, but it's in like kind of like the central area.
Okay.
Yeah. Where are you at?
All right. Mooresville, North Carolina.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the podcast, which I call the Schmidtcast, is my last name. I do have a co-host with me sometimes, but he couldn't make it today. But
It's okay.
Yep. I got lots of questions for you, so I want you to introduce yourself to all of my friends and all followers, because I know you because I follow you from Supercross and the network of Speed, because you were a reporter there. Just introduce yourself and tell them what you do for a living.
Hey, well, hi everybody. Ralph Sheheen here. Been broadcasting motorsports on national television for 35 years now, and literally anything with two and four wheels, from swamp buggies to Formula One and trials competition to Supercross around the world. So hopefully you've seen me somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. It's been last time I saw you on TV was when you were doing Supercross. You were always with Ricky Carmichael, man. Like, I think the first time I saw you, I think I was at least. When did you start Supercross?
Well, let's see, 1988.
Okay, yeah, I
The
was.
first one was Tampa Supercross, back when it was the Coors Extra Gold Championship, and it was on ESPN, and it was taped. It wasn't even live.
Wow, yeah, I was born in 2002, and
Yeah,
ever
so you
since,
probably that one.
ever since I was a little kid, you're always on TV. I'm 20 now.
Yeah, so for you, it would have started up in 2006,
Yeah,
when actually 2005, when Speed Channel got the rights to Supercross. We started doing the Monster Energy Supercross Championship. We did the first two races every year were held in Canada, one in Toronto
yeah,
and one in Vancouver. And they were always in December, so it would have been December of 2005, rolled right into the full season, kicking off in Anaheim in January of 2006.
yeah,
And so I did 13 years of that on Speed Channel and Fox. 12 of those 13 years were with Jeff Emig.
yeah.
The first year was with Denny Stevenson, and then it shifted to NBC after those 13 years with Fox and Speed, and I did 2 years on NBC with Ricky.
Oh wow, yeah. Um,
Now we do World Supercross, which is even better.
yeah. When you have you been watching the Supercross season at all this year?
Yeah, I pay attention to it, of course, certainly, because a lot of those guys we're going to see with the World Supercross Championship
Mm-hmm.
kicking off in July in Birmingham, England on Fox Sports 1.
Yeah, Eli Tomac has been an absolute beast this year. It's sad
He
that he
has
lost it.
years now, hasn't he? I mean, he's
Yeah,
going back to when he came up into the 250s. I mean, he was just, you could see it right away.
yeah,
He was different, and he was going to make an impact.
yeah. When he
And the number about Eli that always stood out to me was that one night in Daytona where we got him going down. There was a section of whoops that ran along what would be pit road for the big oval,
yeah,
and it was maybe 50 yards in length, and Eli just stood it up on the rear wheel and just tapped it all the way across,
man,
and he did it for numerous laps, and it was just mind-blowing. The speed and the control, the intensity and the courage it took to do that was just
it's crazy.
amazing.
Yeah, it's like looking back at that now. He's 7-time Daytona winner now, and that's
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
dang.
yeah, I mean, you think about the guys that are multiple Daytona winners in their various categories. And obviously, you got Richard Petty. Earnhardt didn't win 7 Daytona 500s, but he won a lot of races at Daytona.
Yeah,
They won the 500 once, which I happen to be on that broadcast team. You got Hurley Haywood, won 5 24 hours. You've got Scott Russell, won 5 Daytona 200s, which I got to call, I think, all of those. And then you got Eli here with 7 Daytona Supercross races, which is just remarkable.
yeah. And plus, when he got back, when the season started, when we were seeing something different about Eli, is that I could tell he was a lot more comfortable on a Yamaha than he was. Well, don't get me wrong, Kawasaki was pretty good, but I think when he got on the Yamaha, he was more comfortable. He was like his old self on Geico Honda. But when the season started, I was like, okay, so he won the race. I was like, I think we're kind of seeing the old Eli from a Honda. But since he lost from Indiana, which he had, it was so never ever seen Eli like that ever in my life. Growing up to like when he was 250s, I never seen him that out of
Yeah.
focus and all that.
Yeah, I think with Supercross, one of the things that makes it so great is that the bikes are all so close. Yes, a rider might be more comfortable on one brand than another
Mm-hmm.
because at that level they look for little things that the average guy wouldn't even notice. Um, but the bikes are so close generally
Mm-hmm.
that it comes down to the rider making the difference. And
Yeah.
how much longer is he willing to hold that throttle open or go a little bit deeper into the corner, get out of the corner a little bit quicker, or whatever it might be. So, I mean, as you pointed out, Eli's won on multiple brands now.
Yeah.
And I think you could put him on just about anything and he would win.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Hayden Deacon? Dude, he's been doing pretty well. I'm pretty impressed by him. I'm pretty happy for him.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with Brian Deegan,
Yeah.
actually, in how Brian is bringing his kids up.
Yeah.
Same thing with Haley. I mean, I think Brian's doing a really good job of not just shoving these kids out there and saying, go, you can do this, go right into moto at the highest level and see what you can do, or throw Haley right into the trucks. They
Mm-hmm.
started off by bringing Haley up at the very bottom, easing her way in and not rushing her through a specific series, giving her a couple of years in NASCAR series out west, let her figure that stuff out, and you can see the progression she made.
Yeah.
I got to call a few of those races while she was out there, and at first she was figuring it out, and then all of a sudden she's into the top 10, and then next thing you know, she's in the top 5, and then
Yeah.
fighting for wins, and then winning, and then moving on after that. And it's been the same thing with her brother, and now you can see he's at the point where he's ready to get in there, get the elbows up, and mix it up for wins, and he's doing that.
Yeah.
So they'll run the course properly through the 250s before we see him on the big bikes.
Yeah. Honestly, Jet Lawrence and his brother Hunter, they're pretty quick, but seeing that how Hayden's been riding, him and Hunter gives a good race between each other. But honestly, I cannot wait till motocross, outdoor motocross comes in to see, since he's going so fast around those tracks of Supercross. I think that he's built more for motocross because of his speed. Because if he goes to outdoors, he's going to pretty much be unstoppable, pretty much.
He could be, but Hunter's pretty tough, man. Hunter's
Yeah.
something. And the other thing you got brewing over there is Hayden's getting the black hat pretty fast,
Mm-hmm.
and Hunter's got the white hat, so you're going to have that rivalry cooking there, which
True.
might be perfect for the series.
Yeah. I want to start off by what got you into reporting when you were.
Well, I've been a race fan since I was a kid. Went to my first race when I was just 5 years old, and I mean, I loved it since day one.
Mm-hmm.
And like everybody else, you always dream about being the racer,
Mm-hmm.
getting out there and competing in something. But it's very expensive to do and hard to make happen. And I remember watching racing on TV all the time. Unlike you, when I was born, there was only 3 channels out there and not a whole lot of racing on TV. I mean, we would get Indy and Daytona and Talladega, and that was it. And you watched every single lap because you're going to get those 1,500 miles of racing, and that was it.
Yeah.
So I remember watching the races and Chris Economaki and Ken Squire and the guys doing it back then, and thinking, well, that'd be pretty cool too. I mean, if you can't be Mario Andretti, it might be kind of cool to interview him.
Yeah.
Talk about it. So that was the choice. When it looked like the opportunity to be a racer wasn't going to happen, then okay, let's start chasing the other side of this and see if I can make it happen as an announcer. And somehow I've gotten to 35 years on national TV.
Did you go to school for it at all, or you just went straight for
Yeah,
it?
I did. I went to California State University, Chico.
Oh, nice.
and got a broadcasting degree there. But really, that was great. The college experience was fantastic, and I loved every minute at Chico. And what I got out of Chico was the opportunity to get internships at television stations and get experience that way,
Yeah.
which I wouldn't have gotten otherwise because you have to be a college student to get it. But really, it's that baptism by fire of getting in there and just doing it. So
Yeah.
while I was at Chico, there was a guy on my dorm floor that was involved in motorcycle road racing at what at the time was known as Sears Point, now Sonoma Raceway,
Mm-hmm.
which was about 4 hours away from Chico where I went to college. And he told me they were looking for an announcer. So I was like, perfect, let's go do this. So I went down and tried out and got the job and started calling AFM motorcycle road races there. Got paid absolutely nothing but a free box lunch.
Oh wow.
I would drive 4 hours each way, announce all day long, and got a box lunch. That was it.
Nice.
Eventually, after about a year, they paid me $25, and I thought I was killing it, man. That was like big deal. I'm making money doing this. Oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah. What motorsport, since you've done dirt bike, you've done Supercross, of course, outdoors. You've done a little bit of NASCAR, but is there any other motorsport that you really want to report for? And what sport would that be?
Well, I've literally done everything. I mean, I did a ton of NASCAR. I've done a lot of IndyCar. I've play-by-play for NHRA drag racing. I've done IMSA sports car racing. I've done swamp buggies and monster trucks. I mean, there really isn't, called Formula One, there really isn't a form of motorsport that I haven't done. I've literally done it all. I don't say that in a bragging way. I say that in a very humbled way because when I got started, I never would have believed I would have been a part of the broadcast teams for Daytona 500, Indy 500, 24 hours at Daytona, 12 hours at Sebring, Knoxville Nationals. I mean, that's insane to me. The U.S. Nationals. I can't believe I've done all that. But the one event I haven't done that I would love to do is Le Mans. I've done Monaco, I've done Indy and Daytona, as talked about, some of these other huge events. I've done a lot of sports car racing, but I haven't been to Le Mans, and I would like to do that just because it's such a big deal. I would like to go experience it and be a part of it. I've done the 24 hours of Daytona a few times, which is huge. And in the sports car world, it's number 2 event to Le Mans, and I've done Sebring, which would be number 3. So I'd like to do the biggest one and do Le Mans.
Yeah, I haven't. I think the last race I went to, I was actually the first ever race. I was wee little, and I met Ricky Carmichael. He was racing some of these I forget what kind of race. I have a poster somewhere around this house. He signed it for my brother and I, but that was the last race I went to. And then last year I went to Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the road course for NASCAR Cup Series, and I got to. I really didn't get to experience the whole thing, like going to the oval, which I really wanted to have the experience. But it's like any track you go to, you get to experience, and I really loved that. But as I thought about it, the reason why I started this podcast was to learn how to talk to other people and how to interact with other people. And I think that since I've been watching you ever since growing up, it actually helped me start this podcast.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's a perfect example of the things you don't think about when you're doing this. You're talking into that camera, and you can't see anybody but the guy who's standing behind the camera.
Yeah.
You don't realize the millions of people that are behind it. You know they're out there, but you don't have any interaction with them. So it's very different when you're doing PA announcing at a racetrack.
Yeah.
You get an instant response. You say something and you can hear the crowd cheer or boo or sigh or whatever. In fact, I'll never forget, I was working the PA with Dave Calabro at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway doing the Indy 500 one year, and Marco Andretti crashed into turn 1, and I said, "Oh, Marco Andretti into the wall at turn 1." And you hear 400,000 people all gasp at one time. I was like blown away by that. It wasn't the fact that they were shocked that Marco had crashed, which was a bummer.
Mm-hmm.
It was to hear 400,000 people at one time do the same thing and hear it drown out the race cars.
Yeah.
That was amazing. The power of the microphone at that moment. So it's been incredible to have people come up to me over time and say, "Man, I've been listening to you since I was a kid," or "You're the reason why I got into announcing," or whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
That's really warms the heart, if you will, to hear that, to know that you had a positive impact on somebody in their passion for racing and or broadcasting.
Yeah, my dad has told me like a month ago. My little cousin, I did not know this. He's been watching my videos of like me playing games or something like that. He's like, "Hey, your little cousin. He looks up to you." I was like, "Of course, that's pretty cool." But I don't know if he's allowed to watch my stuff because I'm not very clean. But when you were since you're a reporter, did you interview like drivers and all that, like what Jamie Little does?
Sure. No, I've done every position in a broadcast team, from
Okay.
pit reporting to play-by-play. I've done color announcing, been a host. Yeah, I've done all that, and I've been very fortunate to interview all of my racing heroes,
Mm-hmm.
whether it was Mario Andretti, Don Perdome, AJ Foyt, Dale Earnhardt Sr., um, all the way Kenny Roberts, all the way down the list. It's been, again, incredible to think about having been that little kid sitting on the couch watching Chris Economaki do that,
Yeah.
to thinking there I was on the grid at the Daytona 500 interviewing Dale Earnhardt before he ended up going out and winning his only Daytona 500.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I always. Who was the toughest one to talk to when every race? Earnhardt.
Earnhardt. Yeah, he loved to mess with you. Earnhardt and I had a great relationship. We got along extremely well, and I treasure that. I don't have a lot of mementos from Dale laying around.
Mm-hmm.
A few things, but I don't like to ask for that stuff. If somebody wants to, there you go.
Yep. Yeah.
If somebody wants to give you something, that's different. I just feel like as a reporter, you shouldn't necessarily be asking for stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't ask, but I got a few things that were given to me. But
Yeah.
he would always like to mess with you, and if you pass the test, then he'd work with you. But if you failed the test, then you were out.
Mm.
And so, for a perfect example, the Winston one year here at Charlotte,
Yeah.
I'm doing the broadcast on TNN, and he comes up to do the interview with me, and we start doing the interview, and they were shooting the interview, waist high, and it was at night, so you couldn't see what he was doing, but he was reaching around the back side of me, and he was digging into my kidneys, just twisting as hard as he could, trying to get me to break, and I wouldn't. I just kept asking him question after question, because I was like, I'm not going to give in.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were all done, he cracked up laughing, and I knew I had passed another test, and I was good. So
Yeah.
he hit me as hard as he could on the shoulder, and he turned and he walked away, and I knew right then, I'm good.
Yeah.
He would always do stuff to you like that, and you had to bring good questions. You had to ask him a legit question, and things like that, and then you could see when it paid off. For example, we were at Atlanta one day, and he was sick. He had a bad cold. Something was bothering him. And he got out of the car and went right to his motorhome, and he was hanging out in his motorhome. And I don't remember what it was, but there was something going on with him that my producer really wanted to get an answer from him about a particular issue.
Mm-hmm.
And I waited by his motorhome, and he came out, and I said, Dale, I got one question. And he goes, one? I said, yes, sir, just one. He's like, all right. He didn't deal with anybody else, and he gave me the one question. I knew if I asked him a second one,
Mm-hmm.
I was done. But I had the right question. I got the answer the producer was looking for, did the one question, let him go, and walked away, got what I needed. But if I hadn't passed those other tests, I wouldn't have gotten that question.
No, he would have kept silent, probably.
Yep.
Yeah, when I was growing up watching esports, I was around when Chad Reed Jeremy McGrath, James Stewart, Ricky Carmichael were together. And all those guys that were battling, I always wanted to tell this to Ricky Carmichael once in my life. I always wanted to tell him that out of all those guys, I was always a Chad Reed guy. I always loved Chad Reed. I like every time that Chad Reed and Ricky Carmichael were racing, my brothers cheering on Ricky Carmichael, and I'm just sitting right here going, Chad Reed is going to win this race, and then he ends up winning the race.
You couldn't have picked. You couldn't have picked wrong with any one of those guys.
No, it's just anything goes.
That's the McGrath jersey right behind me there.
Oh wow, that's cool.
So I mean, you couldn't go wrong. Any one of those guys is a legend, and certainly worth the fan base that they've earned. They're all great guys. They're all incredibly talented riders and athletes. They all brought something different to the game, and they all elevated the sport in different ways. But they're all tremendous.
As I told you, I was a fan of Chad Reed. When he came out of retirement to race at that World Supercross race event, I said just stay retired like Ricky Carmichael is. He should have just stayed retired. Then he gets injured. I wish he just stood retired. Then he wouldn't have to deal with his injury. I wish he would have stayed retired. Would you think the same way, or you just let him be?
Well, knowing Chad the way I do, I wasn't surprised at all that he came back. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised when we get to Birmingham, England, in July 1st weekend of this summer that he's not there again. Right. I mean, I said it years ago on TV. I said Chad Reed might be the grittiest racer I've ever seen. And he just is. I mean, the guy has dealt with so much pain over the years and has always fought through it and always lined up in the gate and always literally, when you talk about an athlete that gives his all, I can't think of anybody who's spilled more blood to get to the top step of the podium than that guy. Blood, sweat, and tears. And he fights through it like nobody I've ever seen. And that's not to say there's not a lot of guys that'll do that. Because you can't not be in racing and be successful and not be willing to do that. But Chad has just always seemed to find a level of determination that a lot of guys can't. So, yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying. My biggest thing with that and guys is I don't want to see them get permanently injured.
Right.
You know, Chad, unfortunately and fortunately, when he crashed in Wales, he suffered broken bones.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's not good, but you can recover from that.
Right.
What you fear is a guy crashing and getting injured to a point where they can't recover from it, whether it's some sort of paralysis or worse. And that's what you hope doesn't happen, because they now have children and you want them to be able to at some point step away and enjoy their lives, be healthy, and all that. So that's the one thing I worry about when a guy comes back.
Yeah, that also goes for Cooper Webb. When he had that wreck, when he flipped his bike and he landed on his tailbone onto the concrete, I was a little scared for him too.
That was in Dallas, I remember. And that was one of the nastiest wrecks I think I'd ever seen. And everybody caught their breath on that. Was like, oh man, that's not good.
Yeah, you can even hear the reactions too for the replay.
Yeah, and he fortunately was able to overcome it and get back healthy and go riding pretty quickly after, which was amazing.
Yeah. So I saw that you have your Carolina Panthers Cup. So what are your thoughts on Adam Thielen signing a 3-year contract with Carolina Panthers?
Oh, I think it's great. Yeah, I live here in Mooresville, North Carolina, so we cheer for the home team. But I grew up in Northern California, so I'm a diehard 49er fan. But we go to all the Panther games. We love the NFL, period. So we just like going to the games and all that. And you got to cheer for the home team. But I think the Panthers did some good stuff during the offseason, getting Thielen and trading up. Now we'll see what they do in the draft, which quarterback they end up picking. And maybe we'll get that guy from your neighborhood there, C.J. Stroud. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I love what the Niners did too, getting the defensive lineman from the Eagles.
Yeah.
Get a great player for our team and weaken the other team that's even better.
Yeah.
And I think the Niners are going to be they're going to be really good this season. I think the Panthers are going to step it up, maybe win the South, but I think the Niners are going to make a run at it again.
Well, yeah, with Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, they've 49ers been a good team, but having Nick Bosa on that side,
Brock Purdy did a heck of a job this year.
oh yeah, he amazed me. But I'm not real like I'm a Buckeyes guy. I hope CJ Stroud goes to a good team, hopefully, because I just said to myself that when I started this podcast earlier, I said that I think CJ Stroud. There's a team that makes CJ Stroud look good is the Cardinals, Broncos, but I forgot to add another team. But I'll say Panthers, like you said. But I'm a Steelers guy. I don't know if you see my blanket over here.
Yeah.
It's been pretty good. They've been signing people. They just picked up the Eagles guy too. It's good for us, but we got Pat Peterson.
Yeah.
And it's been great. But what I think with 49ers is they got Brock Purdy, they got Christian McCaffrey. Is the Panthers a Super Bowl team? Maybe, but I always say don't. I was like, don't be overconfident with your team because they might not happen. But do you think that Aaron Rodgers is going to get his wish list that he asked for the Jets?
Man, I don't know. That's the $1 million question, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing how he's been able to work the system, if you will, throughout his career. The one thing I never blame a guy for is trying, right?
Right.
You ask for $100 million and somebody's willing to give it to you, good for you, I mean, worked for Deshaun Watson, doesn't seem to be working for Lamar Jackson yet. Hasn't completely worked out for Aaron, but I mean, I think it's getting to the point where they're going to have to do everything they can to make it happen. The Jets are just too far committed down that road now. It's hard for them to back out at this point. They're going to have to give whatever the Packers want to get it done. Or you're going to have to go 180 degrees immediately overnight today and just throw a Brinks truck of money at Lamar Jackson and say, just get over here. We'll give you everything you want.
Yeah, the Texans. Yeah, the Texans are actually thinking about picking him up, which that's good for Lamar because I felt so bad for Lamar because every team that did not call him at all, which was very odd. Like, okay, you're looking at a football player that played in the playoffs, didn't win to the Super Bowl, but
the owners don't want the guaranteed contract,
right? But Texans picking them up, that would be pretty good for them since they haven't been so great. But the Jets did pick up one of the players that Aaron Rodgers wanted, Lazard from the Green Bay Packers. But I just want to move on to another thing here. I got a question for you. What's your advice on upcoming reporters that want to become reporters? What's your advice?
Well, if you want to first of all, doing what you're doing, which is anything you can do to get experience, is a great thing. The podcast is good, but you need to start doing some race announcing. I don't know if you're doing that right now or not. But you need to go find a local racetrack of any kind, no matter what the level of competition is. Could be kids racing go-karts. Doesn't matter. Go do it. And get as much of that as you can. There was a time when I was doing Speedway motorcycles on Friday nights in Auburn, California. I would do NASCAR stock cars on Saturday nights in Roseville, California. Sundays I would do whatever was going on, whether it was at Sears Point, Laguna Seca, Hangtown Motocross, whatever it might be. And then on Mondays, I was announcing ladies' fashion shows, which I know sounds crazy, but that was 4 straight nights and days every week where I was paid to be on a microphone in front of an audience announcing something. Three of them were races, but the fourth one, the ladies' fashion shows, as crazy as it sounds, ultimately was the best thing of all to do because it forced me to talk about something that I knew nothing about. I don't know anything about ladies' fashion,
Mm-hmm.
but I had to figure out while it was live in front of an audience, without cue cards or any help, how to make this interesting.
Yeah.
So I would tell you if you want to do racing, you need to go do volleyball, go do tennis, go do boxing, go do whatever you can because it's going to force you out of your comfort zone. You know racing, you know moto, so go do a basketball game, maybe an 8th grade basketball game, even worse, right?
Yeah.
Because you really don't know the players. They're not going to give you a lot of information, but you've got to make it interesting. So that experience of figuring out how to do that will help you whenever you are doing a race. If you're doing Red Bud sometime down the road, you know those guys, you know that sport, but having that experience of being uncomfortable will help you to talk about something that you know, especially when you're doing that event and there's a big crash or there's weather and all of a sudden there's a big delay and you've got to fill time. Now you'll know how to tap dance and get through it.
Yep. And I also got one of my friends asked this question for you. Your taste in music.
Hard rock and heavy metal.
Oh. I'm a old school country and rock and roll metal guy too. I like old school rock. Old school country is more like Waylon and Willie and the guys. But yeah, I also have another one. You said Mario was your favorite racer growing up too.
Yeah, Mario. Well, I grew up in the era where my heroes were Mario, AJ, Richard Petty, and Don Perdome.
Yeah.
The different genres, you know.
Yeah. What's your let's go back to Supercross. What's your prediction for the season? Since
Whoever stays healthy.
whoever stays healthy.
Yeah. Motocross and Supercross is exactly like the NFL.
Yeah.
You got to stay healthy. So the 49ers get all the way to the NFC Championship game. Brock Purdy gets hurt on second series of the game. We're done. That's it. Season's over. You bring in the backup. He got hurt. You're done. I mean, you got nobody left. If you don't have the starting quarterback that's any good, what are you going to do? Right? It's the same thing in motocross and supercross. They're all fast. They all are in great physical condition. They all have good teams. They all know how to win or they wouldn't be in the gate. Now the only question is who stays healthy. And as we talked about earlier, as you go back through time, you can look at all these guys. You talked about Cooper having his big crash at Dallas. Ruins your championship. So they're about halfway through the season this year. A lot of racing yet to go and a lot of opportunity to get hurt. And what's tough about Supercross and motocross is they have to train as hard as they race. So when they go ride a practice track, they're riding at race pace, and it's very easy to make a mistake and crash, and there's no soft way of crashing off of a dirt bike.
Yeah, everything's hard packed and ruts.
Yeah, protection. I mean, they're just wearing a paper thin jersey. You know, I mean, it's easy to break a bone, twist something up, get hurt, and then all of a sudden you're out for 2 rounds of racing. You're not as good. There go the points.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Ken Roxon when you guys first win in Indiana?
Example of a guy who you got to be healthy all the way through.
Yeah.
The 2 arm injuries that he suffered probably cost him 2 championships or more. Because both years that he hurt his arm, he was a preseason favorite to win the title that year, and was extremely quick going into before those injuries happened. And then the recovery period from those injuries, you got to figure if he'd have been healthy like he was before the injuries, that guy certainly had the speed and the skill set to win 3 or 4 titles easy.
Yeah. What's your go-to favorite movie of all time?
Oh boy, that's a tough one. Well, let's break that down into 2 different categories. So if I was just to pick a movie, I'd probably pick a good comedy just to laugh, get a good laugh out of it.
Yeah.
So probably Caddyshack or Animal House, something like that.
Yeah.
But if we're going to pick an all-time favorite racing movie, then I'd probably pick maybe Le Mans, because the start of that, the Steve McQueen movie,
Mm-hmm.
the start of that movie, have you ever watched it?
No.
Man, the opening scenes in that movie are just incredible, where they capture the start of the race and everything.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty amazing.
Yeah, we got my thing says we have less than 1 minute left, so yeah. Just to close this interview all off, so what sport are you reporting now for?
Well, I got a full plate of races to do this year. I got American